Hello. Welcome to our webcast on using indicators to identify swing trading opportunities. Another installment in a series of live events produced by TraderPlanet in collaboration with well-known industry personalities. Today is Tuesday, July 20th, and we thank you for joining us today. This is Darrell, and I'm your host for today's session featuring Darrell Jobman, a senior analyst for TraderPlanet.com. Today's webcast takes place at a specific date and time, and therefore any opinions given by our presenter may change without notice at any time. Trading involves substantial risk of loss and therefore may not be suitable for all investors, and past performance is not indicative of future results. We are recording this webcast and it will be posted on TraderPlanet, so you will be able to review the material at a later time. You will also find previously recorded webcasts among our other free member education resources within our site at www.TraderPlanet.com. As one of our foremost trading educators, Darrell Jobman trades his own personal account and has been involved in the financial markets for more than 40 years. A decorated Vietnam War veteran, he was a newspaper farm editor and editor of several agricultural publications before becoming an editor of Futures magazine for more than 15 years. He has written and edited more than a dozen books and courses on trading. While his passion is helping others succeed by teaching the do's and don'ts of trading, it's his editorial contributions to TraderPlanet that have really allowed him to take this objective to a whole new level. He's joining us today from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Let's all give a warm welcome to Darrell Jobman.
Thank you very much, Darla, for that welcome. Yes, Wisconsin, we're used to a little bit colder weather. Cooler, I should say. It gets hot there too, but it's a lot. You kind of got to get used to the situation. On the other hand, a couple of housekeeping items. The first one is we need to do a little audio. You will see with his hand raised down in that lower left corner, there's a menu beside him. If you can hear the audio okay and it's coming through as I am coming from a hotel room instead of my usual place, but I want to make sure the audio works. I agree. That puts a check mark in there, indicates that I'm coming through and the audio is okay. Okay, I see a check mark or two in there. So we will assume that we do have some audio coming through. Next question I'd like to do, just kind of keep in mind that what we have there in the that lower left corner, just kind of get you familiar with that and maybe use it a little bit later, is a swing trader. And a swing trader is kind of one of those in between, not long-term position, but not intraday either. So and so the remarks that I'm going to be making today, I agree. So let's see if we got some swing traders out there. Not talking about swingers, but we're talking about swing, the ones that are looking for positioning. If it comes, you take the long-term position. If it doesn't, you're out on the next in and out move. Okay, looks like we have some that will understand a little bit about what I'm talking about with swing trading and the examples that we're going to be using today. First of all, also should point out that the data that we are using for the charts that we're going to be using today, the Vantage Point software charts, is provided by CRB. And if you have a line, you may want to put your computer on full screen mode when we get to the charts, because that'll help with some of the details a little bit better later, some of the things we talk about on the points. Now, when we talk about what a swing trade is and why, you can probably look at that little red arrow over there on the right, and that actually fairly well, just a little diagram kind of fairly looking for that. Follow that red line. What's the primary trend? That's the type of thing that you definitely want to know. What is the primary trend, and what is that primary trend going to do, and where is it going to go? And you're going to have some situations where that primary trend is going to get interrupted by some little intermediary trends or counter trend moves. And those are the ones you want to be able to identify, the tradable counter trend. And what I mean by tradable is something that gives you enough of a swing that you can take some profits out, yet does not really disturb the primary trend in which you are trading. The way you're going to do that is that you're going to look at indicator clues that we're going to talk about a little later, and that's what you're going to try to find so you can find the end of that counter trade move. This may be a potential place on which to get on board that move. I'll talk a little bit about setting buy and sell orders. Where do you put them, and how do you handle them when you have them if you're trying to set up the swing trade type situation? You also have to keep in mind that you have to, when you're looking for that swing trade, you have to limit your loss potential, because sometimes when you are in a trend and you trade it, you could be wrong. And so you always want to limit your loss potential, limit your risk as much as you possibly can in a swing trading type of a program. And then you might want to take a look at some kind of a profit-taking plan as you're setting this up. How will you manage this trade? Where will you take profits? Are you going to let it run a little bit? Obviously, we like to let the profits run, but we don't always know if they're going to act or not. So you might want to take a kind of a look at your overall trading plan and try to determine when and where would you take profits if they become available. The example we're going to use today, the chart we're going to use, is going to be one that is probably fairly common to most people. You may or may not trade it, but it is light sweet oil, crude oil, and this is a continuous futures contract. It goes back a ways, and the point we want to make here, there's a couple of points really. I think you'd have to agree, if you look at what we have here, is that we have a situation here where we have a market that is in, or has been in, pretty much an overall steadily moving uptrend. It dropped, obviously we haven't gone way back to those March lows around $35 a barrel, but when you see it here, has been pretty much in an uptrend until, of course, we get into the 1st of May. And when we get to the 1st of May, we have the first situation here where after a series of, after higher highs, we had a series here where we had a high, or a low rather, a low, but each one of those was higher. But all of a sudden, we come to a point in May where we had a rather dramatic decline in May, and it dropped below the previous low. So now if you look at the overall pattern that we're going to be looking at, we're talking about a situation where we are potentially moving or switching to an overall downtrend as our major trend, the primary trend that we're looking at. So we have broken that down, and that's what we're going to take a look at. We're not going to look at the whole chart, obviously, because there's an awful lot of data there, but what we're going to look at is a segment of that chart, the last part of that chart, and try to determine how it is that we're going to trade that. Now, there are a lot of things that affect the oil market, of course, and we really can't tell a lot of things about the oil market in terms of the supply and demand, and we're not OPEC, and problems trying to guess what will the fundamentals be, where will they go, what's the next energy stocks report going to show, all those kinds of things. But what we do have is we do have charts, and the tool that I am using with the charts is Vantage Point Intermediate